Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the absolute bedrock of digital authenticity. Think about it. We live in an era where data drives literally every major decision, right? From massive AI algorithms to global financial markets, it's all running on data. But there is this silent, massive vulnerability sitting right at the core of all this information. If you don't know exactly where your data comes from, how can you possibly rely on it? Well, you can't. So let's jump right into this, because the reality of our information landscape is pretty stark, and a new framework called Codatta is aiming to completely revolutionize how we establish digital truth.
No provenance, no trust. I just want to let that uncompromising ultimatum sink in for a second. This isn't just some fun theoretical debate we're having. It's practically an absolute law of the digital universe right now. Without knowing precisely where a piece of data originates, any system, any model, or any big decision built upon it is fundamentally flawed. You are, quite literally, building a house on sand.
Section 1. The crisis of trust. The absolute necessity of data origins.
So, we're looking at a pretty strict dichotomy here. On one side, we have the state of no provenance. Basically an environment where your data sets are total black boxes. You can see the output, sure, but the actual ingredients? Total mystery. Existing in that state absolutely guarantees you end up on side B, no trust. You simply cannot separate the two. If you strip away the history of the data, boom, you instantly strip away the confidence in that data. And in a world that is increasingly run by super complex data sets, operating in the dark like that, it's just no longer an option.
Section 2. Defining digital trust, the bedrock of modern data. Now notice how verified provenance is elevated here. It goes from being a mere optional, nice-to-have feature to the undeniable foundation of all digital trust. And pay really close attention to that word verified. It's not enough for someone to just casually claim where their data came from anymore. That claim actually has to be mathematically provable. Trust, especially in this modern data context, is no longer about blind faith or, relying on a company's brand reputation. It's treated as a structural, verifiable reality. Because without verified provenance as your foundation, any digital trust you think you have, it's completely an illusion.
Section 3. The Codatta solution. Establishing the verifiable trail.
Codatta gives every data set a verifiable provenance trail. The language they're using here is incredibly deliberate. Note the word every. Codatta's solution isn't just designed to be applied selectively to, say, a few really important files. No, it's positioned as a comprehensive mechanism that leaves absolutely zero gaps in the origin story. It acts like an unbreakable chain of evidence, right? One that travels with the information, forever linking the data back to its true original source.
Section 4. Empowering the auditors. Who needs to verify?
So who actually uses this? Well, Codatta empowers 3 distinct, critical groups to independently audit exactly where their information came from. First, enterprises. They need to verify data before risking massive capital. Imagine a giant hedge fund algorithm trading off a compromised fake data feed. Yikes. Then you have regulators like the SEC or the FDA. They need to audit data to ensure strict legal compliance and, ultimately, protect public safety. And finally, researchers. They absolutely rely on data origins to maintain the core validity of scientific truth, making sure flawed studies don't enter the public record. By providing this undeniable trail, Codatta is effectively decentralizing trust. They're handing the power of verification directly to the stakeholders who rely on the data the absolute most.
And all of this builds into a really clear, logical workflow. Step 1, a dataset is born into the world. Now, in the past, this is usually where the transparency ended. But in Step 2, Codatta steps in and immediately attaches that verifiable provenance trail right to it. Finally, in Step 3, those exact stakeholders we were just talking about, the enterprises, regulators, and researchers, they can actively go in and audit those origins. This completely transforms what was an opaque, potentially super risky dataset into a fully audited, universally trustworthy resource. It's really just a beautiful, elegant solution to a massive modern problem.
Section 5. The future of provenance. The non-negotiable standard.
Verified provenance equals digital trust. We are reiterating this core equation because these two concepts are now completely 100% inseparable. You literally cannot fake one without the other. As we move forward into a future that's completely dominated by complex AI models and these massive sprawling data lakes, this equation is going to stop being just a best practice. It is rapidly going to become a non-negotiable standard for anyone operating in the digital space.
Which brings us to the end and leaves us with this one vital question.
Do the data sets you rely on have a verifiable provenance trail? Seriously, think about the decisions your own organization makes every single day. If your data lacks this undeniable origin story, if it lacks exactly what Codatta provides, can it truly be trusted at all? I highly encourage you to go look closely at your own systems and ask yourself that hard question. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, keep asking where your data comes from.